Welcome to Telesur. I'm Carla Gonzalez, and this is Interviews from Quito, the program where we explore the big challenges that Ecuador and the region are facing. In today's program, we analyze the student protests in Ecuador after the government announced a cut on education in the middle of a pandemic. Is President Lenín Moreno following demands from the IMF? And what will the future be for education in the country? For that, we have Cristina Benavides, a professor from the Central University. Hello, Cristina. Thank you for joining us.
Buenos días.
Hi, good morning to everybody. I am Cristina Benavides, a teacher from the Central University of Ecuador. Right now, we are along with several organizations of workers and professors of the university protesting due to the reduction of the budget that we have had for our institution. In the case of Central University, the reduction has been that will imply a massive firing of many public servants that will be totally unprotected. We are particularly speaking of 700 hired teachers, which will not be able to keep their posts. Right now, we are seeing some images of what several protests that we did in the midst of the pandemic. We have told the government that they have used this moment to take advantage on cutting the budget for the public universities. This is to the 31 universities, that is the public service system of public universities. This reduction makes it with 98 million that will be the cut. It's also a 300 million reduction in education for elementary, high schools, and universities. It's important to point out that this is part of a policy and a series of decrees against the popular sectors. These sectors have been protesting due to the cut of salaries, and now they're trying to flexibilize the work schedules and the contracts. This is how many groups of students, teachers, workers have gotten together in resistance, just like the Constitution allows us to, so we can protest and demand the restitution of this budget. Additionally, we want to point out that this reduction is part of a neoliberal policy where they try to reduce the size of the government. And now this new budget took out from two parts. That was the one with salaries, and that the reduction is part of a neoliberal program. And at the same time, when they spoke about the packages, the new economic packages, it goes along with the lines of the international organisms. There will be, in July, there will be a new payment to the international organisms, and we think that this is where the money is coming from the reduction of the education. And we think this is unconstitutional according to Article 165. And it says that in moments of emergency, you cannot touch the budgets of education, health. As part of our proposals, we say that maybe we can charge taxes from the VAT, and that all of this money could be assigned for the development of the universities. We also suggest that for the 2021 electoral campaign, the budgets be reduced and therefore be able to cover the needs of the universities. we think that this reduction what they will do is just benefit the private universities that charge around $5,000 per student. So the private universities will benefit if the public university cannot cover the needs. This is not new. This happened in the decade of the 90s, where the public university did not pay their salaries on time. There wasn't a dignified budget for the university. And during these years, we have been able to advance to have an education of quality. For example, in the case of the teachers, now they have a workload where they can carry out investigation and community linking activities along with teaching. This is fundamental for a university that has a compromise with the society. If there is this reduction in the budget, what we will have is teachers who will only go and teach, and there will be no investigation or work directly with society. This is how the reduction of budget might affect the giving out of scholarships. For example, in the universities that are co-financed offer scholarships for students who need these scholarships. So this will affect the sector.
Cristina, yes, I have another question about that issue, because you were mentioning the issue of how education is not being considered and not being protected by the government. But now the government is saying that we need money to pay for example, treatment for COVID-19 now that we're in a pandemic. Would you say that is the case? Because they're saying that there's no way that we can cut back on other spending, but it has to be on education, and that has to suffer in order for Ecuadorians to protect themselves from COVID-19. Is that the case?
Yes, we are denouncing that since this pandemic, they're trying to impose a neoliberal policy to reduce the size of the government. And every time there is a reduction in the number of public servants. This is a policy that's been tried to be imposed since October last year, and it had, of course, a rejection on behalf of many social organizations. This is a part of following the dispositions of international organisms. Now they've taken advantage of the pandemic as a measure to go through with these measures that were not able to pass in October. Let's not forget that after 13 of mobilization in October to stop the increase in gasoline, the government has tried by many ways to find agreements so the subsidies could be reduced. Just this week, with the mobilization, Richard Martinez, the Minister of Finance, has declared that there will be a focalization of the subsidies. This means that the measures that were going to be implemented in October are now going to be passed in a different way. And of course, they're taking advantage that people cannot mobilize or take to the streets because of the pandemic. And what they're doing now is, with all of the measures they're taking, is doing away with the rights of the workers. Now we see that there are some strikes of public and private servants that just last week were fired. I think Ecuador is the only country in the region where this is happening, where the workers are being fired. So what we ask is that the government not take advantage of the pandemic to fire people, to allow people to be fired. let's not forget that according to the Constitution of Ecuador, it is impossible to fire people during an emergency, such as this one. So now we are going to demand that there not be this cut in the budget. And of course, this reduction of budget will also affect the quality of the education. This is not only of the universities, but of everybody that is part of the education system.
So, Cristina, there's also the issue of being human rights. I mean, it's a matter of human rights, just as the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights said it before, that they're worried that the situation in Ecuador might get worse because education is a right for everyone. How are students and teachers dealing with that issue, especially since you can't be outside because we have a lockdown, we have a curfew, we have different things in place to prevent COVID-19. What other ways can students come out and protest? Not just the students, everyone, because it's a human right for all Ecuadorians to have education.
First, we are generating a public opinion campaign about the reduction of this budget. We insist the public university is very valuable for our society because hundreds of professionals graduate from here and they give to society back. If we don't bet on investigation and having work with society, then university is wasting their time. We as a university have to go along with society and all of the evolution. So if there is no support on behalf of the government to the university, this means that they're not interested in the development of the country. Who is going to be benefited from this? It's the public, it's the private companies, and basically the great organizations of education that are basically 5 groups in the country, where there are 5 private universities. These are part of the economic elite that will benefit from the crisis of the university. So that's why we are alerting both the country and abroad that we should protect the public university in the country. The university would make no sense if we could not be part of the international ratings, but also if the university cannot work directly with society. So it is necessary that the university students and teachers have a direct linkage with society. From the School of Journalism, we have launched a contest on how to improve the indigenous organizations with which we work with. Everything that we've done in these 2 years would be practically dismantled if there is no budget allocated to this and that allows us to pay the teachers who are working in this. Let's not forget that Central University is the 2nd largest in the country. We have around 35,000 universities. And in Guayaquil, we have 70,000, and the new promotions would be affected because they will have education of less quality with more difficulties, and it's going to be harder for them to acquire the skills that we have been able to attain in the recent years.
But Cristina, I still have a question on the issue of if we cannot go out on the streets, if there's not if there's no classes that are being taken right now because everything has to be online, if we cannot gather students in the universities, in their classes, and that's how it was done before, what can we do now when people are forced to be inside their houses and they can't leave and they don't know what's going on the streets? How can we get everyone together to protest for this? It can't be done on the streets. How can we do it?
Precisely, I just mentioned a minute ago that the first step that we have taken is to position in the public opinion through internet this reduction of salary of budget. We have activated several platforms and networks to discuss the importance that the university has for society. We have called to that we are organizing biosafe protests because everybody who's going there is using a mask. We use gloves. And we have generated the system so we can have safe protests. And we also ask them to keep a distance of 2 meters between each person. And whoever feels sick, not to go. Many people are using biosecurity gear, and we are asking everybody to take casseroles and pots and pans, and that there be 2 protests. And we also have held several marches around the universities in Quito. So, additionally, other cities like Guayaquil and Cuenca, Riobamba, Latacunga, all of these are cities that have public universities, and the teachers, students, and workers have also concentrated. For this week, we are also, what we're striving is to keep on speaking about it, to keep on debating on it on the internet. And we will keep on calling on more actions at the streets. We invite everybody to participate by obviously following all of the biosecurity measures. We have also placed a demand to the Constitutional Tribunal, Constitutional Court, because we think that this is not constitutional. And we're also holding a amicus curiae to send them to the judges of the courts so they can make their final decision. We know that the university authorities have carried out the dialogues with the Council of Higher Education to see if they can reach agreements. This has not been possible yet, so many authorities have set some complaints. This because the reduction of the budget is unconstitutional. But we also want to show that people do not agree with these measures. But many think that we're responsible because we can infect somebody or infect ourselves, but no, we are going through all of the security measures that are required. And we have used all of the security measures.
Que proponer también, las universidades le han dado varias opciones a la Asamblea Nacional y al presidente para obtener recursos, porque sabemos que es una situación compleja la que está viviendo el Ecuador, como la está viviendo todo el mundo.
We know that this is a hard situation for Ecuador, but we want to let you know that we don't want this situation to affect education. If we have less education, at the end it will mean more poverty. And education cannot be considered a privilege; it's a right. And in this sense, we have been fighting through all fronts, through the judicial and taking to the streets.
So it's good also to know that there are proposals. Has any of those ideas that the university has presented had any impact on the government?
Sí. Al menos la Comisión
Yes,
de Educación
at least
de
the
la Asamblea
Education Commission of the
en
Assembly
las denuncias que se han realizado sobre el recorte
has
presupuestario,
taken in
han planteado
our proposals, and they have stated that
de Finanzas, Richard Martínez, por haber asumido una acción inconstitucional
that they will go against the Minister of Finance because he did something unconstitutional.
Creo que de alguna manera
I
hemos
think
logrado
that
hacer incidencia
we have been able to make
los
some incidents among the Congress people, and
la Asamblea logre
we hope that the
llevar
Assembly will
juicio
be able
político al
to
ministro. Estamos pidiendo
take to
que
a
se
political
restituya ese
trial to this
presupuesto,
minister,
que acojan las
and we hope that they
soluciones que ha planteado la universidad,
reject
entre
these
otras, el que se pueda
this
cobrar
reduction of
intereses,
budget,
que se pueda cobrar impuestos,
and that
que
of
se
course they
reduzca
can
la asignación
reduce
presupuestaria
taxes
para la campaña electoral del
through
2021,
other
que
means,
se
and that
reduzca
the
en armamento
campaign
para
financing
para
be
los
have reduction on
instituciones de
that.
represión del Estado como son la policía y los militares, pero fundamentalmente estamos pidiendo
And what we're
el que
asking
no se pague los intereses de la deuda
is that
externa,
the
por ejemplo,
interest
no se pague
of
el
the
capital de la
external
deuda
debt
externa.
not be
Lo que ha
paid.
ocurrido es que más o menos se anunciaron en un primer
At
momento
the beginning,
$340 millones
$340
pagos
million
desde marzo, pero en realidad, cuando
dollars
se presentaron los números, casi
were going to
fueron
be paid
700 millones, y
as
para
interest,
julio
but then we saw
está
that it was
previsto
almost the
un
double.
nuevo desembolso. Es decir, creo que con esos datos tenemos
And I
claro
think
que
with
si
that
se paga
numbers,
la deuda externa, podemos completar, o al menos si no se paga una parte de esa deuda externa, podemos completar
we could cover
el presupuesto
the
para las
budget for the
universidades
university if we
públicas.
don't
Hay
pay
opciones.
part of the
Hemos,
foreign
como
debt.
universitarios, hemos planteado las opciones.
We
Sin
as
embargo, el Estado
a university
está
have
empecinado
proposed
en
some of the
reducir la
options.
masa salarial, es decir, reducir el número de servidores públicos. Creo que eso hay que destacar.
I think it's
Porque
important to
por más
highlight
opciones
that
que
what they're trying to do
mientras
is
esas
to
opciones no
reduce
sean
the
la
number of
solución de
people
los
that are working for the government.
realmente el Estado no las va a considerar. Por ello estamos denunciando el que la reducción del presupuesto es parte de toda una estrategia
So
para la
we say
implantación de
that
la receta neoliberal.
this reduction of the state, of the size of the state of the government, is part of the neoliberal recipe that is being tried to be imposed. And they started by trying since October.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you very much, Cristina. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, but thank you for joining us. So we've been talking to Cristina Benavides, professor at the Central University, on how education is being targeted by the government in Ecuador on the pretext of saving funds for the pandemic, and what students and all citizens can do to protect our right to education. Thank you for watching. This is Interviews from Quito. I'm Carla Gonzalez. Until next time.